You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio. You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.
Reaching all the way back to 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition. Here is your host of Fate Radio, Kat Hobson.
Good evening and welcome to Fate Mag Radio. We are having some technical difficulties at this moment, and we are doing our best to get everything connected. For some reason, the universe does not like when Jack and I have a conversation. I think we get too much accomplished. What do you think? But I just want y'all to know that I am so honored to have my friend Jack Kenna join me tonight. We have so much in common. We enjoy each other's company. I enjoy his writing, his research, the work that he does everywhere. He is a fantastic radio host. He is a TV personality. He is someone who helps other people with extreme cases. And he is just a fantastic human. So with that being said, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I think maybe we've got it this time. So, Jack Kenna, welcome. Hi, how are ya?
Hey, Kat, how you doing? Good. How are you? Can you hear me okay this time?
I can hear you okay. And
all right,
I'm going to let you know
awesome.
that should something go awry, I'm just going to grab you back, okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's really funny because the last time you were on with me, we had all these things going on with the whole sound issue. I couldn't hear you at all when I went to do the second time around editing. Yeah. I struggled to get it up right. It was insanity. So.
Wonder. Geez, I hope it's not something I've got attached to me. That's.
Well, no, I don't think that's the case.
That's all I can say to that. No, I don't think so either. Technical stuff happens sometimes. It's it could be a pain.
Well,
but we're here. We're connected. It's good. So it's all happening. So that's all that matters.
Well, it is, and
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be back on your show too. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I have enjoyed your work for years. I have enjoyed you for years. I like you. I think that you're one of the nicest people I know, and I think that you do a fantastic job of getting information out. You just do the books, you lecture.
Yeah.
You're a consultant on television shows, but you also appear on them. There is nothing that you don't use to get the information out. I think that's pretty neat.
I do try to do everything I can to get just information out to people. I just believe in sharing things freely, I know a lot of times people get caught up in, we got to keep this to ourselves and keep that to ourselves because, somebody will steal our idea or something like that. I typically say to that, let them steal my idea. Go ahead. Because if they are, how's the saying go? Imitation is a great sign of flattery, right? So, I just don't believe in hanging on to information. I'm not I'm not one to try to use it for any personal gain anyway. I know some people maybe see things differently, but I really do what I do just to share information, get information out there. I don't care, like, if I'm doing something that somebody's, like, oh, let's do it that way. That's a better way of doing it. Good, go ahead, imitate it. I don't care. Because if it helps get more information out to more people, all the better. I really don't. I'm not one to be caught up with the TV stuff or any of that stuff. I'm really not. Did I end up on TV? Yeah, I did. I really wasn't looking to try to get there. I just ended up there. So I try to use it to some degree. I don't want to say advantage, but yeah, as a tool to try to educate people, which is hard to do with TV. I mean, production companies want everything to be scary and this and that because, they're into ratings, right? They make money through ratings. That's what they care about. That's what TV is about.
They wouldn't be doing it if they weren't making money, and if you weren't helping them do that, you wouldn't be there.
Right, exactly. But I have, at least with some places, convinced them to at least allow me some leeway so I can educate as well.
Yes.
And I won't always tell them what they want. They want everything to be demonic and evil, and it's not always. It is
not. I found that that's very unusual until recently.
Yeah, a lot of weird things happening recently. Things have changed. I've run into a lot more demonic cases myself, which I've never saw before. But I, at least for my own sake, I kind of know what that is, because a couple years back, a priest friend of mine prayed that I would get demonic cases. Because he goes, You can help people. I know you can help people, and you can do that. I'm like, no, don't do that. No. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. And he did. And it was a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, I had my first demonic type case, and we were able to help the people, not through an exorcism or anything like that. I don't typically do that stuff. I'm just more looking into that end of things now, but I have people who do that I turn to. In cases that I believe there is, like a demonic attachment or even potentially possession going on. So I have people I can turn to for that, that are versed in that and know better how to handle that. And that's another thing. I reach out if you're in a team or if you're on a team. Don't be afraid to reach out to other teams for help. You can't do it all yourself all the time. And I'm not just talking demonic cases. I'm just talking even when you're first learning, when you're first starting out, turn to other teams for help and stuff. I do it all the time. Don't let your ego get in the way of trying to help somebody. Okay, that's something I always like to point out to people. Don't let the ego get in the way. But I have noticed, a lot more really darker cases out there more recently. And I've had discussions with other people about maybe why that is and stuff. And I think part of it is a lot of people have gotten away from their beliefs, They don't put their faith first in their lives. And I'm not talking religion. I'm sorry, I'm just talking faith in something bigger than yourself.
Type, yes. Positivity.
Right. Now right, exactly. I mean, we all have our what we believe in and our own, religious beliefs and things like that. But that's fine as long as I always say, as long as it's something positive, that's okay. I don't care what you believe in. Personally, I'm Roman Catholic, but you don't have to be that in order to have a good, strong faith and belief in something. It could be whatever. I don't care. But practice it, believe in it. Have real faith in it, and people have lost that. I think.
Don't you think that's an absolute truth? Because I'm always overwhelmed by a lack of belief in any kind of system. I don't understand how you can walk around like that.
Because the newer generation, especially, I've seen this in younger people, and interestingly enough, when I do, there's some events I do. One is out in Vermont and stuff like that, and they're teaching some of like the paranormal stuff in one of the colleges out there. So there's a group that comes to this one event every year that's college kids, and they're very interested. Their ears perk up when you start talking about the spirituality of it, and faith and belief and stuff. And I think, wow, I never thought of it from that perspective before. Like, well, what do you believe in? What do you think? Oh, nothing really. Nothing really. Okay, that tells you where a lot of kids are coming from these days. They have no belief except what they've been kind of taught. Believe in yourself. Yeah, it's great, but you can only take you so far. And if you're not in the best of places, believing in yourself isn't going to work for you. You know what I'm saying. People have depression. People have different things going on, especially with teenagers and young adults. They have a lot of stress they're under. So just believing in yourself isn't always the answer. You don't have the strength it takes to get through some things. You got to believe in something else. You have to have faith in something else, and that's what I think is lost these days a lot. They're looking for something, and a lot of them are turning to the paranormal to try to find something to believe in. But they're looking to, I think, sometimes the wrong things. They're looking to, I want to, be a ghost hunter. I want to do this or that. That's where my faith is going to lie. No, it's not. You don't want to put your faith in ghost hunting.
Don't even put your faith in ghost hunters.
Right. Well, whatever. You have to. You're right. Exactly. But you have to have faith in something in order to give yourself spiritual protection if you're going to work in that field or get involved in that field. And they never think of it that way. They just don't. They just don't. So I think that's what we're seeing this day. And in one way, it's kind of interesting because it's almost like a revival of spiritualism. Okay.
Yes.
Remember way back spiritualism, right? It's almost like I'm almost seeing a revival of that. Like they're looking to that spiritualism as a way to find something larger than themselves. And I don't point them to a church. I don't point them to anything. I said, look for something, because they'll talk to me about it. And I tell them what I am and all that. But I said, look to something that you connect with, something that's positive, whether it's whatever, whether it's the earth or whether it's, like Gaia, things like that, or whether it's Wicca, or whether it's, but look around at different things or look into different types of belief systems and pick out one that seems to click for you. As long as it's positive, go with it. As long as everything about it is a positive direction, trying to help others, trying to make the world a better place, or whatever, looking to a higher power, so to speak, that you can turn to when you need to, because you just can't get through something on your own. Look into things like that. And we start talking, it starts a conversation. And it's just things they haven't thought of. And some of them turn back to look at their the original beliefs of their families' systems, whether it was a Catholic faith or Jewish faith or whatever it was, right? Some start to look back at that and just see if it's for them or not, because I think there's a generation that's gotten lost somewhere along the way, and I think that's partly our generation, where we went to church and we did all that, but as we got older, we got away from it. A lot of us did. I'm not saying all of us did, but a lot of us, I think, did. I see it in my own friends from high school and stuff, where we just kind of faded away from it, and we didn't always instill it in our own children. So that's that lost generation between.
Don't you think that a lot of the... I'm sorry, Jack.
No, go ahead.
But I wanted to... Something that I've come across, I just recently spoke at a con in Birmingham. One of the things that I have noticed from the people that come in, and this is a Comic-Con type of thing, right? And my team has had representatives speak at each one. One of our group is the coordinator for that event and does a great job, by the way, Magic City Con. But last year and this year when I spoke, both times the same people showed up, I noticed. Yeah. There were a lot of new ones too, but there were people who were totally into it.
Right.
They were interested. I had some evidence, and it was an 18 and over crowd. I have a piece of evidence that involves the F-bomb.
Oh, okay.
It was, and people are always like, oh, well, that can't possibly be true because if you're using an SB7, then, that's a radio station and yada, yada, yada. And I use that in an adult setting sometimes just to let people know that this cannot come over FCC airwaves.
Right.
This little AM radio is FCC regulated.
Right.
So this is not, A, it's not a radio broadcast, but B, this is not a pleasant entity.
Right.
Whoever this is does not have my best interest at heart.
Right.
And
that's right.
You need to know when you are out here trying to be a person that's, broken into some place because you thought it looked scary, or conjuring in the boiler room at Lost Furnaces, which happens. I don't know why they do that there. It's crazy. But when you're trying to invoke these things, or if you're opening yourself to interacting with these things, you do need to know this is real. This is not somebody that's going to play with you and go home all the time.
Right. Well, they go home to your home.
Well, they go with you, yeah.
Yeah, which is where you don't want.
Which is a whole different kettle of fish.
Right.
But, they're just so wanted. And I think because there's a part of the human experience that craves interaction, spiritual interaction.
Yeah.
And if you're not being fed in one location, or on the positive side, the light side, you're going to seek it where you can find it. It's kind of like if your parents are too busy to see you, or your parents have abandoned you, you will seek out attention and what you perceive as love from outside sources that are not always good for you. It's the same mindset, I think.
Yeah.
So you're seeking, but you're seeking in the wrong places.
Correct.
And
that's right.
I mean, it just is. It is a human need. Humans need love interaction. Humans need spiritual interaction. And I do want to let people know that we are broadcasting with me live in Gulf Shores, Alabama. So there is a bunch of leftover 4th of July people here, so hence the sirens. Sorry about that. But nothing like live radio. And if you can get Jack Kenna on with you live, it's outstanding regardless. But, Jack, what do you think about what I said?
Well, that's where I was going with it, right? As people are just searching for something. You know what I'm saying? They sometimes look to something that's not a positive thing, right? And they run into things that they don't expect to, right? People just want, you're right, they want to be part of something. They want to be part of something bigger than themselves. They're looking for something larger than themselves, but they get involved with some of the paranormal stuff, and they're not really sure how to go about it or what to do. And before they know it, they've brought in something they really didn't want or didn't understand either. I can always say, like, everything's not always evil, but sometimes it can be very desperate, right? Desperate for attention, desperate to get your attention, and it can come across very negative that way. But you don't want to bring those things home with you, and a lot of people do, right?
Well, I don't want to bring anybody home.
Not meaning to. Well, yeah, that's just it, right?
There's a reason they're where they are.
But it happens.
And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we're going to have to go to break, but when we come back, I want to continue on this vein for a minute because I think it's important. And that being said, y'all, we will be right back. Thank you so much for listening to Fate Mag Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. We'll be right back with Jack Kenna.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I am Kat Hobson. I am coming to you live from Gulf Shores, Alabama this week with my wonderful guest, Jack Kenna. Jack is an author. He is a speaker. Love to hear him speak. He is a paranormal investigator that I have been lucky enough to, well, I didn't get to go out in the woods and investigate, but I did get to be around and participate. And he is also a media personality. He does a radio show on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 Eastern. He is on, oh my goodness, is it 4 television shows now, Jack, that you participate with?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's varies, but I think I'm actually up to 5 now. So
goodness gracious. Well, I knew you had started haunted hospitals. I think that is probably going to be my favorite. Some of the best evidence I've ever gotten was in an abandoned hospital, but I wasn't working there, obviously, since it was abandoned. But some of the things I have nurse friends tell me is just astonishing. Yeah. My sister was on that show, Haunted Hospitals, as was my wife, Eileen. She told her story about something that happened with her on there, and so yeah, there's a lot of stories out there. I mean, there's a lot of stories out there, and it's just bizarre.
Hospitals are very haunted locations. That's all I would say.
Well, I know it's got to be something serious because the abandoned hospitals are still haunted. Years later, the hospital I was actually born in is where we went to do an investigation. And we were able to be in there overnight. I got video, I got audio, everything was just going crazy. Almost all
Wow.
night. It was definitely bizarre.
Yeah.
I don't think
that's
I would
crazy,
want to
man.
work in one.
Wow, I guess. Yeah. Like I said, I've been, well, just visiting hospitals. I've been in some that you can pick up on something's going on there. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
You can feel the energy. You can feel people around there. Yeah, let's face it. People die in hospitals. So a lot of stuff goes on in hospitals, both good and bad. Life and death.
Well, it
Right?
is good and
Births
bad. I mean,
have
there's
deaths.
people that go through an awful lot of trauma while they're there.
Yeah.
It just
Even
seems
just
to
that, right?
go
Even
with
just
the
trauma.
go with the territory.
Right. That's right. Yeah, that's what it's. Yeah, like I said, it's what hospitals. It's what happens in them. Life, death. It's all there, right? A lot of high emotions, positive and
Yes.
negative, right? From not just the people that go there, but from staff too. And staff have to deal with a lot of things, with loss of patients and all that. So I mean, there's just a lot that happens in them, and
When
just the way it
your
is.
wife shared her experience, I'm sorry, I've got something in my ear here, but
It's okay.
if I interrupted you, I do apologize. Did I?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. When your wife shared her experience, was it something that you had already known about prior to your involvement with that show? Was it something that surprised you, or was it something that you were pretty in tune with?
I knew a little bit about it. I didn't know everything that happened. So some of it surprised me. There was a lot more involved with it than she'd ever told me. So some of it surprised me. But I had known about the experience in general. So it wasn't totally surprising, but I was surprised when I found out she actually believes what she experienced there with her aunt in a hospital was the angel of death, basically, um, coming to assist her aunt to cross over. Um, everybody thinks, oh, angel of death is a terrible thing. Well, no, he's an angel. I was forgetting Azrael, which comes to help people cross over, right, to bring them to the other side, right, and he prepares you, right. So he's a positive thing, in a way. We always, we're afraid of him, but he's there to actually help us. So as we
Well,
move
you
on
don't
to the
think of
next
the
level,
angel of death as being the purveyor of comfort and taking, helping, but that is
right,
what they're doing, especially if someone is in crisis and pain, and
right.
it's got to be
That's
a
what he's.
relief, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, that's what he's there for, is to try to assist you in moving on to the next level. Granted, he's, as with all angels, he's kind of terrifying, but because they're not human and they're very, very powerful, and it can be frightening, to run into them and to have to kind of face them in a way. But that's what she believes she ran into, and then actually, at the time it was frightening, but she takes kind of more comfort in it now. Looking back on it and actually considering what happened during that time frame. So, um, yeah, and it's just one of those things, right? You've got to deal with or you have to analyze your experience, right? It can be frightening at first because it's happening and you don't understand it, but once you kind of sit back and have some time to think about it and analyze it, it can be a whole different perspective on it. What you thought was frightening actually could be more comforting, right? Especially with that. So, with regards to her story, that was a very very interesting, very surprising story. I actually, as far as my sisters went, I did not get to see hers yet. I didn't watch the whole series, so I missed my sister's, and I don't know what she talked about, so I can't even tell you about that one. She's had so many experiences. My sister, it's crazy. But like me, she's sensitive, and she experiences a lot of spirit, and has had a lot of experiences over the years. She's not a person who's in the paranormal field, but she has an interest in it. We talk about things and stuff like that, but she does not delve into the paranormal field per se. She watches my shows and stuff like that, which is why she was interested in telling her own story. So I'm sure it went well. Just didn't ever get a chance to see it yet, so got to make sure I catch up with that.
Well, I tell you what, I think that's got to be just one of the most surprising things that anyone can do when they don't know what's, like, she knows what you do.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And
yeah. My wife knows what I do. My sister knows what I do. Yeah. Everybody knows what I do. So.
And I am having some trouble hearing you, so if I am repeating or asking you to answer the same question, bear with me. I'm doing really well most of the time, but every so often. So,
fades
how
out?
did you initially...
I'll try not to move from my spot then.
You must superglue yourself for the evening. So.
Yes. Yeah, I gotta stay right in one spot there.
Well, I am... this happened the last time that we conversed, so I just write it down to the other team not liking your interference. So giving us some. I'm good with that. I know. I read the book. I know who wins, so it's all good.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
I want to get into your history and how you got into the television thing in a moment, but I wanted to revisit, because we were talking about the angel of death actually not necessarily being a negative and things of that nature. And that kind of made me think about the negative side, that we had not gotten back to.
Okay.
And people's choice to interact there.
Right.
I have recently come in contact with adults, not millennials, who are, and that's not downing millennials. I have several of my own. So, it's just...
So do I, yeah.
Right? But
Right.
they're good and they're smart, and they've been told a lot of very different things down the course of their educational experiences and such.
Yeah.
I find that if someone wants to join me in an investigation who is within that age bracket, they are fully expecting me to not be the light worker, positive, using positivity to interact with spirits and that kind of thing. They're looking for darkness, as we had said earlier.
Right.
And it blows them away when you get more interaction by being positive, and you don't get attacked as a rule. And you're able to protect yourself and actually protect some of the spirits as well through that.
Right.
Do you find it an interesting thing, or does it even happen around you, that people that come to hear you lecture, that show up that are frequent faces in your lecture audiences, that kind of thing, are surprised when you're not all about, darkness and the badness and whatever they want to call it, although you deal with that very effectively? Are they surprised that you don't do it with attitude because they see that on TV a lot?
Yeah, they are. They're surprised. They're surprised, I guess, at who I actually am. That who they saw on TV is still who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
I don't play a part, right? Who you see on TV is who I am. How I talk to the audience on TV is how I talk to them when I'm giving a lecture. Or, I try to be a little bit more funny because I can be when I'm not on TV. They're like, oh, you got to be serious on TV. Oh, okay, whatever.
I think you're pretty funny.
They want you to be serious. Well, they still want you to be serious on TV and stuff. But, I guess I always ask people, because I do find there's a lot of people who enjoy, I guess, watching me on TV, which I never give much thought to, really. But I did ask a few people. I said, "Why? Why?" And so, because you're genuine. You come across as being genuine, as being, serious about what you're talking about. Not serious, but like, you're not putting on an air. You're not pretending to be something. You're not over exaggerating something. You're just telling what you know, which I guess is refreshing to people. I don't know. I never give it much thought. I just tell people, it's like I always say, I just tell you what I know. I can't tell you what I don't know.
Right.
I only can tell you what I know and what I believe happened, what I believe was going on. And that's all I do. That's all I do when I'm on these shows. I am who I am. As I would say, I'm just Jack.
I like who you are.
I guess I like who I am too.
Yeah, I think you're pretty comfortable with who you are too.
I am. But and so I don't try to pretend to be something that I'm not.
Right.
I guess is all it is, right? I'm just talking to you like you would anybody else. So they are surprised by that, and I think it's because sometimes they meet people who are on TV that are completely different when they meet them, and why that is, I don't know. I don't know, people are acting, or whatever. I don't act. I don't need to act, right? I'm not, the type of shows I'm doing, also doing is being interviewed, right? I'm answering questions. That's all. I'm not doing a show that I'm being followed around with cameras and trying to pretend, sometimes that things are, and I'm not saying people on those shows pretend at all. I would never suggest that. But, when you're on these shows that are more like, I don't want to say live, but they're reality type TV shows, I think to a point, the producers and directors expect you to perform a bit, right? It's a little bit different, right? Whereas just sitting there and being interviewed and answering questions, I just give you the answers. That's all. I mean, I've even had arguments with some of the producers over some of my answers, or some things that they've told me they want me to say that I need to say. I have to say this, right? They tell me sometimes, you have to say this. And I go, I'm not saying that. I had that conversation with one. It's like, I'm not saying that. That's wrong. I'm not saying that. No, you have to say it. No, I don't. I'm not saying it.
The first time you told me about that blew me away.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew I liked you.
Well,
I already knew I liked you, but that was that was fun.
That. I appreciate that. But it's like anything else. I mean, they ask you on these shows to be their so-called, quote, expert. If that's what you want, then listen to what I have to tell you. Because what you want me to say is incorrect for this case that you're putting on your show. It's not accurate. It's not what's going on there. So, and we did have that discussion, and in the end, the producer was a little upset and said, well, what would you say is happening here? And I told them, and then they thought about it, like, you know what, he's right. It actually makes more sense to the story. So they let me say what I wanted to say, and they rewrote their script a little bit. But, that's what you brought me here for. That's what you brought me here for.
Really, because if you were not who you are, you wouldn't be there.
I mean, well, yeah.
And they've seen your work for years. They know who you are.
Yeah, that's right. And so, you gain a lot more respect from them when you do that, because in actuality, in that particular case, they actually, like, you're right. That does make a lot more sense to what's going on in this story. That wow. Most of my point to them was, okay, I get what you want, but remember, I want your show to be successful too. Because if you're successful, then we're all successful. If I'm successful, we're all successful. And I want you to tell it's better to tell the truth of what's happening than try to make something up that makes no sense, right? And they're not. These people don't work in the paranormal field. They have no clue. They're making a TV show. They don't know anything about that stuff, which is why they ask us to come in sometimes, right? As their, quote, experts. Because we know more than they do. And I mean, it's a good term in that respect. We know a lot more than these people do. They don't delve in the paranormal field. They're just trying to make TV shows about it. So I always make that point to them. I say, look, I'm not telling you something to give you a hard time because I want to, or just because I get a kick out of it. I'm doing it because I want your show to be successful, just like you want it to be successful. That's what you brought me here for. So I'm going to tell you the truth of what I really think is going on. I think they appreciate that. They actually they hold you in a lot more higher respect once you've done that, because you've stood up for yourself and who you are and what you believe. Right? They may not always be happy with you, but they'll respect you. You know, they'll respect you. So, and if that was to ever end my career, fine, so be it. I really don't care. That's what people don't get to, is I really don't totally care about being on TV. It allows me to reach out to more people. But I'm not doing it to try to be a personality. Okay? I work for a living. I got a decent job. I work for a living. I can pay
you got a day job.
Right? Yeah, I got a day job. Yeah, and that's what pays the bills. The paranormal stuff sure doesn't pay the bills. So that's not what I do it for, and maybe that gets into what you want to say, you know, how did I get into this and the origins of it and all that of doing TV. And it was as simple as, you know, out of curiosity, we received emails to our team email all the time about, TV shows and this and that. And we got one, and I'm like, hey, I'm kind of curious about this one. And I talked to our team leader, Alan McNeil, about it, Spirits in New England. And I said, what do you think if I just reach out to them? They got a phone number there. I checked the website. It looks actually pretty legit. What if we just talk to them? It's probably fake, but yeah, go ahead. So usually they turn out to be like BS, right? But I talked to the woman for 2 hours, and she answered all my questions for the first hour, and then I answered all hers for the second hour. And then she's like, I really want you to be on the show. Do you have a case? I said, geez, I don't know. I said, we got to ask some of our clients. This is Paranormal Survivor, season 1. And it was Our House Media, and it was the first paranormal show they were ever producing. And reached out to a young couple who had just helped the year before, and they really wanted to tell their story. So we did it. And they actually did a really nice job of it. And it was like, wow, that was pretty cool. So I figured that was the end of it, right? And then they called me again. Said, can you do another one? I really liked you. Can you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I'll see if I got another couple that wants to tell their story. So we reached out to somebody else, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Next thing I'm getting called for haunted case files, and then next thing I know is, I think that's after that is when I did haunted hospitals, and I did 2 seasons of haunted case files, and we did haunted hospitals. Did a couple seasons of Paranormal Survivor. Helped in the background of finding cases on Paranormal Survivor, as well as haunted case files. And I still work in the background a lot to try to help these places find stories, because they do a pretty good job of telling people's stories correctly, for the most part. And I mean, a lot more accurate, I think, than maybe some. And then this past year, we did a haunting, and also did My Worst Nightmare, which is aired up in Canada. I don't know when it's going to air down here. And
that one freaks my
recently,
head.
Even filming that was my worst nightmare, I'll tell you that.
You know what? We have to take a break.
Nothing but pure questions. Yeah, it was 8 hours of pure questions. Redundant
wait a minute,
questions, because it had to do with a lot of stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
But we have to take a break.
Oh, take a break.
We will be right back, everybody. I hope that y'all are enjoying this conversation with Jack. I believe I've gotten some of our technical issues taken care of, and we will be back on the flip side of this. Y'all enjoy.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. Good evening and welcome back to Fate Mag Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. As you can tell, we are broadcasting live, and we are in the beautiful Gulf Shores of Alabama with our sugar sand beaches and all kinds of haunted locations. If you have not investigated down here, you are missing a treat. I keep trying to tell people up north that, and nobody believes me. I am so fortunate to have my friend, paranormal author, investigator, speaker, and television and radio personality, Jack Kenna, with me. And Jack, I had to interrupt you to go to break. I am so sorry about that, but I'm glad we're back.
I'll never forgive you. I'm sorry.
Well, I figured you'd never forgive me for all that ruckus as I was trying to get the mics fixed, but that's okay.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm just teasing you. You know that.
I do know that, but I really think that there's a lot of interaction when we try to have a conversation like this. One day we're going to have a tech issue totally free thing. We'll probably do it in Gettysburg in a live feed or something. But
there you go.
There you go.
That's coming up pretty soon too.
I'm looking forward to that event and seeing you there, and everyone else too. I like Dustin Perry and James Anito and all the folks.
And you'll be able to meet my team founder this year too, Ellen McNeil.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, she's going to be giving her own lecture on the experience she had regarding her brother in Vietnam. And it'd be great if you could even just interview her about that.
I would love to do that.
Pretty powerful story. It's actually a pretty powerful story. I'm not going to steal her thing on her, but that's something you really should kind of talk to her about and get her thing on that. Because it does have to do, with what's part of that whole fundraiser and Wounded Warriors and all that. So, it's going to be a great lecture. I hope you can catch it from her. It's going to be pretty powerful. So, I'll say that.
Well, I will connect with her before we go and
absolutely
see if we can set aside some time to at least do I would do a live feed while we did some recording for the follow-up show that I like to do after events.
Right, awesome. That'd be great. Yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great. I think it'd be very interesting to a lot of people out there. So,
I think my boss would be cool with that.
I think so. I think so, because I know Ellen's story, and it makes me it touches my heart every time I hear it too. So, and I've heard it quite a few times, and it's kind of an amazing story. So I'll leave it at that. I don't really want to.
Good enough. Yeah, because we don't want to. I don't want to know it before I hear it. Although I know that wouldn't really be an issue because I enjoy hearing people share all the stuff. I think that
I couldn't do it the justice she does it anyway. So
it's not personal to you.
No, it's not my personal story. No,
and that makes a huge difference because when you're relating I have found when you're relating something that happened to you as opposed to trying to just have a conversation, it's a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a huge difference, really.
Oh, yeah.
It is. It's a huge difference.
But I look forward to that.
You'll get that from me, actually, to my actual origin story of really paranormal for me and how I actually ended up getting away from it, to be honest with you, when I was younger. Yeah. That was actually filmed. It's going to be on the show. I think the show is currently called My Paranormal Nightmare. Different than my worst nightmare was my paranormal. Currently, that's what it's called. It could change. Who knows? But yeah, you'll hear my actual origin story of what happened to me when I was around 16. It's going to be very interesting. I can't say much about it, obviously, because it was filmed. But I think people will find it like no wonder he actually got away from the paranormal at that age. Wow, how did you get back into it? Well, ghost hunters came along, and that's the truth. I actually got back into it after many years because of the TV show Ghost Hunters, and I'll just say that. Found out maybe it didn't have to be as terrifying as I originally thought.
Right.
So you guys will be hearing about that too. So,
I think that may be why a lot of different people who had had experiences all their lives but really didn't want to talk about them.
Yeah.
Or people who had been active in the paranormal field but left because, there really wasn't, unless you had close friends who were also interested, there wasn't a lot of a support network to share experiences or get advice, or, if you didn't have a good priest, then you couldn't even get help there.
Right.
And because a lot of them just run from that. As, I interviewed Ed Becker, and he was actually pretty much excommunicated. They were banned from their parish, and then when they relocated, they weren't accepted by their new parish with the hauntings that they had.
Right.
And so, that was forever ago for him. It was when he was in his 20s, I believe. They were just starting a family and stuff. And so the advent of the television shows that were actual investigators freed up a lot of people, gave you resources. People were talking about, ghost hunters, and I'm very excited, by the way. I want to give kudos to Grant for coming back with Ghost Hunters with a new team and getting started. Jason's got a new show. People are getting back out there with these things, and I think that's a good thing. Those darned old, no compete clauses have expired.
Well, yeah. That's right. That's right. That's a lot of what was on hold for a long time.
Yeah, they didn't leave it, but they just couldn't go back out.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, there's non-disclosure stuff and all that type of stuff people forget about. But yeah, I mean, without them, without Ghost Hunters, Spirits of New England, my home team never would have come into existence. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. If it wasn't for that show and for those guys. I mean, I know those guys now. I've met them. I'm friends with them, and it's because of them that I'm where I'm at. Big part of it is because of them. I mean, a huge part of it is because of them. Not only because of them, but you have to find your own.
Well, they opened so many doors. I mean, there was nothing like that.
Right. You got to find your own direction in it. But if it wasn't for those guys in that show, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now doing this, helping people myself. So that's why I'm here.
Well, the only way we knew anything about it would be through films that were made that were dramatized, but the Warrens and the Perrins and people that were willing to speak about things that they had encountered.
Right.
And then along came a couple of plumbing guys.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take away from Zach Bagans, because even though I don't always agree with what he does, he has really brought the paranormal field into the world of entertainment. And he really does have a personality. He has a huge following. My only issue I ever have with him is that young people who don't understand what is actually out there emulate him because they admire him so.
Right. Exactly.
And he doesn't mention protect yourself and, you can't be doing this.
Right.
Yeah. Not everybody has exorcists on their speed dial.
Right. Exactly. And that's his only drawback. But he has done a lot, whether people like to admit it or not, for the paranormal community.
Yeah, he gets bashed all the time.
Some bad. Yeah, I mean, some good, some bad.
Everybody has
it's the way it is.
balance.
But he is a businessman. He is a great self promoter. He has
He is a
come up
great
with a lot
self-promoter,
of
but he's a theater
interesting
major
shows.
as well.
Yeah, he is who he is. I hold nothing against
I
people
know.
who follow their own. He wanted to make he wanted to make a living at it. That's really what he wanted to do. I
Yes.
think in the end, pursue his passion and make a living from it, and he's done that. And hey, kudos to you, pal.
spades.
I got nothing against you. But you're right. We all agree that the way he investigates and some of the things he does, not the best. What's the word we want? The best example of being a good investigator. But he's got his following. He is who he is, and he's done a lot in different ways for the paranormal community.
He truly has, and
he
does
you
get
can't take that
razzed
away
a
from the
lot.
guy.
And that's okay. Sometimes you
can't
earn that.
take it away from the guy. That's right. You can't take it away from the guy. I do think he has some attachments and things that he's not totally aware of, though, watching a couple of more recent shows and things like that. He has some obsession with things, and I see that in him.
And he has fear now. When he was younger, he did not have that fear. And that's what leads me to agree with you that there is an issue. Because he truly was fearless. He would go in and kick doors in and, not so much anymore.
No, he doesn't. He has changed quite a bit, actually. He's less of a provocator. If people really watch, and he's seen any of the newer shows, a lot of people don't like him to watch him anymore. But if you've seen some of his newer shows, he's less provoking than he ever was. He tends to avoid it. He may get other people to try to do it, but he tries to avoid it. It's kind of funny to watch. It's like, really, Zach, you want them to do it, but you won't do it yourself now. We don't lie. We don't.
Well, like I said, there's a fear there that wasn't before.
Yeah, there is. You can see it, and I will tell you this: having seen his movie, The Demon House, I watched it, and I wasn't sure. I had assumed it was, and a lot of people watch it now. And they know it's nothing like the TV show,
right?
And I didn't know what to expect. But I will tell you this: that demonic thing he talks about, which they show an image of it, is real.
Yes.
Because I've seen it. I've seen it. And it has to do with my own story when I was younger.
Yeah.
Well,
we were talking about
I was in shock
this
watching
afternoon.
that show. Yeah, I was in shock watching that show the first time when I saw it, and I'm like, oh, shit. Pardon my French. Right. But what he showed, what he talked about, was the exact thing I saw when I was 16.
Well, we're at the top of the hour. I am
already?
so sorry. I don't know how that happens.
Okay. Hey, good conversation. That's how that happens.
It is great conversation. I just love chatting with you. We will be right back. So, y'all, this is our top of the hour news break. Maybe we'll find something good, right? Can always hope. We'll be back on the flip side. Be sure you come back too.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. A conservative establishment party led by the scion of a powerful political family has won national elections in Greece. Joanna Kakissis reports Greeks grew impatient with the leftist government that they saw as too slow in improving the economy after a long crisis.
Supporters of the Prime Minister-elect Kyriakos Mitsotakis started celebrating early. Mitsotakis and his conservative party, New Democracy, won big, possibly gaining up to 167 seats in the 300-member parliament. Mitsotakis is a Harvard-educated banker whose late father also served as prime minister. He says Greeks want to move forward. Greece needs jobs, growth, and security, he said. We deserve a strong country. Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras won in 2015 by promising to end corruption and political dynasties, but his leftist party struggled to restart the economy. For NPR News, I'm Joanna Kakissis.
In another blow to Deutsche Bank, major job cuts are announced in an aim to restructure this scandal-ridden bank. It's part of a congressional investigation into President Trump and his companies. NPR's Deborah Amos reports from Berlin.
The workforce will shrink by 18,000 jobs by 2022, and in an announcement on Sunday, the bank will downsize its investment division. It's another attempt to save an institution that's been hit with scandals over money laundering and sanctions violations. Deutsche Bank has paid billions in fines and failed to return an annual profit for 3 straight years. But there's more trouble ahead than its bottom line. 2 congressional committees have subpoenaed documents in an investigation into President Trump's businesses. After a series of corporate bankruptcies and defaults starting in the 1990s, Deutsche Bank was one of the few banks willing to lend to Trump. Deborah Amos, NPR News, Berlin.
House Democrats want the Trump administration officials to answer questions on U.S. child detention centers near the Mexico border. NPR's Claudia Grisales reports congressional lawmakers will hold a hearing on Friday.
House Democrats want Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Protection officials to address a new Inspector General report detailing dangerous overcrowding in child detention. Representative Elijah Cummings, chairman of the House Oversight and Reform Committee, is also investigating reports of Border Patrol agents sharing racist and sexist posts on Facebook.
NPR's Claudia Grisales reporting. Billionaire hedge fund manager and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein is expected to appear in a federal court in Manhattan tomorrow. Multiple media reports cite anonymous law enforcement officials as saying Epstein was taken into federal custody this weekend and charged with sex trafficking involving allegations that started in the early 2000s. This is NPR News. 5 people have been hospitalized after the opening of Spain's Running of the Bulls Festival, 2 of them U.S. citizens. Lucia Benavides reports the annual celebration is drawing increasing criticism.
Every morning for 9 days, hundreds of people run alongside 6 bulls in the narrow streets of the northeast city of Pamplona, before the animals are fought and killed in bullfights in the afternoon. In recent years, the festival, which has been a Spanish tradition for hundreds of years, has ignited a debate about animal treatment. On Friday, dozens of protesters lay half naked with fake spears coming out of their backs. The festival has also been associated recently with a high-profile case of a woman who was raped by 5 men in 2016. Known as a Wolfpack case, it has sparked national outrage about attitudes towards sexual assault. For NPR News, I'm Lucia Benavides in Barcelona.
More than 3,000 aftershocks have been recorded in Southern California after 2 powerful earthquakes struck under the Mojave Desert, and officials say more are expected over the next weeks and months. No serious injuries or fatalities were recorded in the quakes on Thursday and Friday, and now communities are rushing to make repairs and to assess damage to buildings, to roads, and to utilities. Ridgecrest under the Mojave Desert and Trona nearby were the hardest hit. Many in Trona are without water. I'm Janine Herbst, and you're listening to NPR News from Washington.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
What up in this? Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour. Welcome back. You are listening to Fate Mag Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I am so pleased that you are here because this is a fantastic show. We had a little difficulty getting her cranked up, but you know what? Now that we've got it, we are rocking and rolling with my guest, Jack Kenna. I am so very excited to have him here. He is an author multiple times. He even has a graphic novel, which you should check out. He's on Amazon. He has an author page. I will put that link up on the Fate Mag Radio site. It should be in the bio information for him on this show. So I'll verify that, and if it's not, I'll make sure you can get to him. But Jack has been a paranormal investigator for quite some time. He is, as I said, an author. He is involved with a couple of teams, I think down to one now maybe, but he is so busy. He is traveling, he is doing television, he has a fantastic radio show that is opposite somebody else's radio show, but that's okay because you will find him on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10, and he is on Blog Talk on the Amelia Pisano Network. So you will love him. And his co-host Michelle is brilliant as well. And Jack, Kenna, welcome back to Fate Mag Radio.
Hey, thank you, Kat. It's good to be here. Just a little update on our radio show. We're currently on summer break.
Okay.
For now, we'll be coming back in September on a new network. Though actually, I believe it's going to be on the same network you were on. I don't know what our day is going to be yet. Still might be Wednesdays. I'm not sure. But we're going to be on a new network now. So we're switching some things around. But we'll be back in September as of right now. But it's all going well. It's all good. We're always here to just answer questions for people and help people anytime they got a question in the meantime anyway. I'm still with 3 teams, believe it or not. I'm still with, of course, Spirits in New England, my original home team, my own team, Rinser Paranormal Research, and the Extreme Paranormal Encounter Response Team. And we're actually in the process of working with a couple very good friends of mine down at Tennessee on putting together a new team down there. So we're expanding the network, so to speak.
You should probably, I know those friends, we should probably communicate.
All right. Yeah, we will do that. Yeah, so we're just expanding the network of trying to reach out to help people. All these teams are about trying to help people.
Well, that's what this is about.
Right, and we all work together with with our teams to do just that. There's different founders for each team, but we all work together as a network, as affiliates with each other. And anytime one of those teams needs me, I go if I can with them. It's a little easier for, of course, the teams up this way with Spirits in New England, my own, and Extreme Paranormal Encounter Response Team. But my affiliates down there in Tennessee, which we're just bringing that team up, I'll give more about that later on my Facebook later on, because we're really just still putting it together. Then I won't be down there as often, but there'll be times when I will go down and assist with cases down there too. And so, yeah, we got a lot going on. A lot happening, a lot going on. And
you were just in Tennessee at the old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
I was, and my friends
and
were
I
there
was
with
booked
me
for
too,
that weekend. I couldn't be there. I was crushed.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's all right. It was a good fundraiser.
I know, but I like hanging out with you, and that would have been fun.
I know, it would have been, and that was a fundraiser that we did. I just went down on my own nickel and helped them raise some money for the local food pantry, and it's a food drive thing they're doing, and so yeah, I try to do stuff like that when I can. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Give back to the communities.
Well, it's all about that. I mean, you got to take care of each other.
Yeah, that's right. And Ronnie D and Renee Dykes, who run the place down there now, Ronnie owns it, and Renee helps manage it for him down there. They're great people, and they're good people, and they try to give back to the community. So
they do a good job of that.
They
In
do.
fact, I'm having Ronnie
really
on Wednesday night.
Awesome.
So
tell Jackson hi.
I will. And Leanne Heskew in the Spreaker chat said that they loved having you at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Yeah, I love being there too. They're great people. It's fun. Yeah, it's a good group of people. It really is. And Renee had me stay at her house with her and John, and oh my God, they fed me very well. All homemade food. Oh my God, it was so awesome. So they put me up for the few days, and it was nice. They're awesome people. Just awesome.
Well, the food pantry is kind of her color Kool-Aid. That's her thing.
Oh, I know. I brought some stuff home. Well, of her stuff that she does anyway. But yeah, the food pantry's her thing, yeah. And she sent me home with some homemade pickles and some other stuff, some jam and some salsa that she makes herself. So she cans and jars herself. So that was awesome. Yeah, the food pantry is her thing, and it's a great cause. It really is a great cause.
Yeah. Well, our conversation on Wednesday is going to be relevant to the drama that turns up in this field sometimes. And I was just like, there's absolutely no calling anyone out or, any negativity whatsoever. But I do think it's not a bad topic to discuss because...
No. Wait, you mean there's drama in this field? Where's the drama? What drama? What are you talking about?
I don't get in the drama because, I am
There's
Switzerland.
No drama. I don't know.
Right.
God, do I know? Yeah. We all
I just
know
find
drama.
myself in the middle of people's discussions, and I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, a lot of it's ego. A lot of it's.
It is a lot of ego.
And people, being jealous of people's success, and to me, that's always been a little ridiculous. I mean. Be supportive of other people's success. Yeah, I know everybody wants to maybe get a TV show, or a lot of people do. Not everybody, but a lot of people do, and stuff like that. And
I've worked with people that wanted that so bad, and you can't work with them.
It's not meant for everybody. No, but being on TV and stuff like isn't just isn't always meant for everybody. And it's not going to happen for everybody because these shows look for a certain type of personalities, and there's a lot that goes on with it. I mean, knowing a little bit that I know from being involved with some of it, it can get a little crazy, and you can lose yourself very easily,
I've seen that happen. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah. I have, and maybe have come close to even losing myself in it. And I'm in the process of backing off from some things and reassessing and getting back to the basics of why I got into this field. If you see me at less things, it's because I'm focusing on why I got into this field. You may see me at less events next year because I'm going to focus more on my clients again. And assisting people. That's why I started this, and that's what it's about for me. Truthfully,
I think that's awesome. I will miss seeing you as much, but I think that's awesome because it is easy to lose yourself and to get caught up in the, I need to spread this word and I need to get out here and tell people things, and I get grief sometimes because the gifts that I have, I feel like are supposed to be used to help people find peace. And I love doing residential cases because I think that if you don't use those gifts for what you have them for, they will go away.
Right, exactly.
They will go to someone who will use them appropriately. And it's really a hard thing because both of the teams that I participate on have stepped away from residential work. So
it's not for everybody. It can get wearing.
Well, everybody has their own calling.
They do, and everybody does. I'm still going to be doing a lot more education stuff. I'm actually going to be working with the local college this fall to be giving some paranormal classes. Okay, something I proposed to them last year. They gave it some thought and they've decided to give it a shot. Where I'll be.
That is so cool. You're only the third person I know who is going to be doing that.
Yeah. I'm gonna take an approach to it of just taking my book I wrote, which is Paranormal Research, and using that book as.
By the way,
book
that's
for
a
the
great
class.
resource book.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm going to be using it for classes now. It's going to be a classroom.
Well,
book.
then I can audit that class, and because I have the book, if you'll put it online, I can follow you.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, we're not doing an online class, but we're just doing it at the local college to start with, and I've kind of touched base with them about, hey, we could open this up to like online as well, like Skype or something like that. We're gonna test the waters first, so see how it goes.
Sure.
And it'll be X number of classroom classes, which will include like going through like evidence review with stuff that I have, that I know what's there, and we'll see how well people are at finding it. And then take them on an actual investigation towards the end, and then come back for one more class to review all that evidence and what they got out of it, and if whatever questions they have, and then they'll still be able to contact me after that. So, and this is mostly going to be for people either who are new to it or just starting out or whatever. But we're going to give it a shot, and we're going to see how it goes. And the college is kind of excited about it because they've never done anything like it before.
That's exciting.
So, yeah, it is exciting. It's exciting for me, too. So that's part of this fall what I'm going to be focusing on. And if that goes well, you'll see more of that next year, and more like things like that, like training and just sharing
will
of
it advance
information
with
and
the
knowledge.
information levels as you go if it goes well?
Yeah, I'm thinking about that too. Of like next phase, level 1, level 2, whatever. Which we'll get into, like the next phases. We'll get into more of like for people with abilities and things like that, or even if you don't have abilities, how to work with that and touch, and how to get in touch with those abilities, but also spiritual protection and stuff like that, which I will be touching on and discussing some of that in this first session too. This first class is of spiritual protection and things to do with that. If you're going to get into this, you need to know that, so you need to know how to protect yourself before you really can get into investigating too much. So we're going to talk about that during these classes too. So just some basics, just some basics.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's what we're gonna be doing. So, the college is excited about it. It's my local college that I graduated from, so it's kind of cool. So now I'm going to be kind of working for them a little bit. Won't get paid much for it, but that's okay. That's not what it's about. Again, that's not what it's about.
Well, that comes with the success and the interest levels, and
and
it's,
they're going to purchase the books to give with the class, and they'll charge so much for the class, and I get paid so much an hour and all that. So I think it works out all the way around. But I get to do again what I want to do, which is help spread information and knowledge.
Accurate information.
Well, yes, accurate. Hopefully accurate as far as I'm concerned.
It is accurate information.
Yeah, if you've read the book,
read your
you
books.
kind of know. I mean, but yeah, so we're going to do that. And, I take an approach that you do of talking with spirit, and it's going to be partially about that, communicating with spirit and being respectful and not instigating. Or if you do instigate, there's a certain way to do it without being rude, And
Yes.
some of that is using the history that we know, or what we believe is a history, and trying to determine if that's correct or not. Oh, I heard this about you. Is this true? You're a terrible person, I heard. Is that true? That's a way of instigating without instigating. You know what I'm saying? You're like, that's a question, And I've got responses to that way. I was not a terrible person, kind of thing, in gist, So I've had things like that happen, and calling them out, say, hey, actually calling out the well-known history, quote, of a location. And it turns out really that wasn't the true history, but of the family. So, but the Spirit helped me determine that. The Spirit helped me figure that out. So by correcting it. So that was a good way to instigate without being rude. So yeah, there's different ways. And those are some of the things we're going to be talking about and going over in the class. So I think people find it interesting. I think they'll get a.
I know they're going to find it interesting, but I am, because I let us get up here and almost miss our break. So we will be right back, folks. Come back and join me with Jack Kenna. This is fun.
You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting. The best in paranormal talk radio.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. Welcome back. You are listening to Fate Mag Radio here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I'm Kat Hobson, your host, and I am joined tonight by one of my favorite people in the paranormal field, Kenna. We have been having a fantastic discussion, and if you have missed any of it, don't fret. You can hear our archives here on Spreaker. You can also hear them on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all kinds of places. YouTube. You can look under Paranormal Experience for YouTube. That's where you'll find them. You can look under Podbean as well. So just join us, because you know what? This has been great. If you had to miss any of it, I know you're going to want to go back. So Jack, thank you again for being here. And, you know, every time we get really deep into something, it's break time. This is starting to really rock and roll as we get through.
I hear you. Well, that's how great conversations go, right? They go by fast, right? And
they do.
Time flies. You don't even realize it's going by. It has been a great conversation, and we're still having some more. But I thank you for having me back on the show. You have a great show, and I really enjoy it. It's an honor being on the show.
Thank you. I like having you here. You are somebody that I admire a lot. I like a lot. I think that you I think that if I were to get into a serious situation, you would be one of my go-to people for information to help with that. And
yeah, for you, I'd probably even be down there for you.
I appreciate, but you'd have to check your Facebook first, though, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess.
That was
Do I have
funny.
to check that thing? I don't know yet.
But you know, it's it actually, I did have a situation that came up, and I found that if you don't lose your head and you don't succumb to fear, once you realize what's happening, positivity has a lot of power.
Right. That's right. That's
and
true. That's true.
And archangels and such do too.
Yes. Yep.
So it was an educational moment, and I was glad that I rose to the challenge, as it were, because some things are a little freaky.
Yeah, but you know, I'm truly one of the ones that believes that God will never give you anything you really can't handle. You may have to ask for some help. You may have to ask for some help, but you can get through it. You know,
well,
it doesn't mean you have to get through it alone.
Right.
You can get through it.
Well, you know, it's powerful stuff because you don't have to hide in the dark to do light work. And you don't have to do it alone, or, you know, get other people to do it in the dark for or with you or anything like that. And I think that if you're someone who anticipates and looks for the good, sometimes someone who is not positive can surprise you. Yeah. But I think that once you realize what's happening, you're kind of taking, you know, you have resources, even if you're not entirely sure that you do.
Right. There is help out. There is help out there.
There is.
It's out there.
You know, it's really something that I think people find themselves having to, for lack of a better word, be educated. You know, because there's protection out there, but you know what? By jingo, you have to use it and ask for it.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, if you get slack with that, sometimes things show up. And
that's right.
I wanted to ask you something because you and Jeffrey were talking about using sigils? Was it you?
Sigils. No, not me. No. But go ahead with that.
Well, I know that someone was talking about, they're a demonologist.
Okay.
And they are interesting because they were talking about using the sigil of Solomon, I think.
Oh, okay. I know what that is. Okay.
And
I'm not a demonologist, by the way, but I do know what that is.
Well, you've got a lot of knowledge. But
a little bit.
You may not be a practicing demonologist, but you have knowledge to help with things, and you have contacts to use for direction.
Exactly. Yeah. I do know
which is
some
a good thing.
Yes. Yeah, I know a few. Couple.
So what do you think? I mean, can you explain to me what a sigil is?
Well, a sigil is, in ways, they're symbols. Okay, I think of them as symbols, at least anyway. The sigil is like I have Saint Benedict ring that I wear. So there's an image on there. There's a specific symbolism on the ring for Saint Benedict, who was an exorcist. Okay. And it's a Benedictine. So if you ever hear the Benedictine order, that's Saint Benedict. Very strict, all about work kind of order. True work is how you will find God, and faith. Very strict. I'm not that strict, but he is a great protector, and his sister was as well. So sigils are different things that can be used to against demonic type entities. They will react to them. They typically will fear them, right? Because it's especially items that are blessed and things like that, because they're a very strong representation, a very strong connection to God,
Right.
or to Jesus Christ, or those things. So they can be used to ward off evil and demonic type things. So you can use those sigils or symbols
Okay.
for those purposes.
I had just heard that term, and I knew that my friend Jeffrey uses one, and
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that your ring was Benedictine. So
Yes, it's Saint Benedict. Yeah.
Saint Benedict was very involved in my situation.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah. Typically is in the field of trying to get rid of negative demonic things. They're very well noted for that. So
yes.
not
Well,
surprised that he was.
I was just so blessed to have the people interact with me. You know, it was so educational
Mm-hmm.
and powerful.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
do you, when you go into a situation with a client who feels that there may be a negative influence in their home, it doesn't have to be demonic, right? It can just be, I always use the line that, if you're a putz when you're alive, you're a putz when you're dead too. But
Absolutely true. Absolutely
Yes.
true. I think sometimes it can be just that, or it could be something else. It could be something that's more of an elemental type spirit, which are connected to the land, to protection of the land, or the environment. Okay, they're more of like, I think of them as like a green type ghost. Okay, in a way, I guess they're all about the green, but they don't like people, and they will try to drive people out of areas because we're not very good at taking care of the earth and things like that. So they don't like us, and they will act almost to a point as if it's something demonic, but they won't truly harm a person because they were created by God and they are of God. So they're
Elementals
not
are?
necessarily. Yeah, elementals are, because God created them to watch over the earth and things like that. So they're not necessarily demonic. Some have turned demonic, just like angels. There's fallen angels. You have elementals that can become demonic. And in those particular cases, the thing will try to truly harm people, get you to harm yourself, things like that. They become more very negative. But there's ways to tell that apart. And in cases where there's something that's elemental and it's just trying to drive the people out, it'll be very threatening. It may scratch them. It may, do different things, but it won't possess them. It won't try to get you to. It won't try to drive the family apart. They'll try to drive the family out of the home, but not try to drive them apart. There's subtle differences between these things.
So do they, if they're trying to drive them out of the home,
Right.
then what is what do they
answer
think
to
is going to
resolving
happen? I
that?
mean, a home will not be demolished because of that, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes you end up with a house that can never sell again, so it sits empty. That doesn't always mean it's something demonic that was there. It could be
Right.
something that was elemental that caused that. A lot of times you can appease elementals through different types of offerings and things like that. So you can find a way to get along with them, or to I don't want to say commune with them, but you can find a way to live in peace with them where they won't bother you because you do certain things to help take care of the property or the location that they like,
Okay.
like planting trees or planting flowers, plants, putting offerings out for them of a plate with like fruits, honey, beer. Beer is a big one. They like it. So you put these offerings out, And you have to do it on a regular basis, and it's your way of communicating to them that, look, I want to live here. I respect you. I respect what you're about, and I'll try to do some things to show you that I respect you, and what your purpose is. And sometimes you'll see activity completely die down once you've done that, but you got to do that on a regular basis, like give the offerings on a regular basis, like maybe once a month or twice a month, something like that, to keep them appeased. Let them know you're still thinking about them, and do some nice things around your yard or whatever, take care of it, and give back to nature. Because that's what they're about. So there's ways to resolve those type of hauntings. And then there's just miserable SOBs who were miserable SOBs when they were alive, and those ones you got to try to get to move on. Demonics are much more different. They're much more threatening, much more harmful, and they don't care. You can't make deals with them, and you can't appease them, and they just want to destroy you in the end. That's all they want. Actually, what they want is for you to destroy yourself. Realistically, that's what they really want. They want you to destroy yourself, which is what people will often do,
Well, they seem to want you to doubt yourself and become angry, through things that happen.
Right. It's influence. It's all about influence. Right?
Yeah.
They will influence you to do that. You have the choice of not doing it.
Exactly.
But they influence you to keep taking that easy path of being angry and hateful and resentful. And I will say this: there was of all the people in the world during my first divorce, the best piece of advice I ever got was from a lawyer, right? My own lawyer, and she said this. She goes, "Remember this of everything else. Remember that, because she'd been through her own divorce. Anger is a wasted emotion. The only one it hurts is you." And think about that. That's absolutely
sound
true.
Advice.
Yes, because it's an absolute truth. The only one you're hurting by being angry is yourself, because the person you're angry at doesn't care.
Or you probably wouldn't be angry.
That's right.
So
their whole purpose is to try to make you angry, which they did. So they win. Okay. So yeah, demonics are the same way. They want you to give in to the anger, the hate, and the easy path, so to speak. It's easy to be angry at people. It's hard to forgive people.
Yes.
Why that is, I don't know, but we do find it's harder to forgive people than to be angry and try to get even with them.
Well, sometimes even if you feel that you're trying to forgive them, your anger gets in the way, so it throws up whatever made you mad.
Right.
As you're trying to forgive that action, it's like your ego, with the capital E, is just not letting that go.
Right. And
so your ego is what is causing you harm.
Right. And sometimes it's your own anger at yourself.
Yes.
And not being able to forgive yourself for some things you've done, making bad choices and things like that. And you're like, oh, I can't forgive myself for that. I can't, you got to forgive yourself too, because none of us is perfect, but it's you got to remember it's okay to make mistakes, as long as we learn from them.
Yes.
And we don't repeat them all the time. We may repeat them once or twice. Just don't keep doing it.
Don't let it become a pattern of behavior.
Exactly, and so always forgive yourself for making mistakes, and it's okay. We're only human. We're not perfect. We're not God. We're going to make mistakes, and sometimes we'll make the same mistake more than once. And we just hope we learn from it, and we can change and be better. So you got to forgive yourself too. I mean, a lot of people can't do that. And it's hard. It is hard to forgive yourself more than it's even hard to forgive somebody else, to be honest with you, I think.
I think so too, because you know what? That little voice in your head is always there.
Right. And I do think that's where, getting back to hauntings, I think that's where some of these negative hauntings come from. It's a spirit that who, as a human, they never could forgive themselves for
Yes.
things they did, and they still can't, and they're stuck, and they're just angry, and they remain angry, and they take it out on other people, who are the living, and they may blame them, even though they never knew them. They may blame them for their situation, and that happens too. So that's a different type, it's a negative human haunting,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're dealing with, It's personalities and souls and, and the souls of the people, which is who they were. Your soul is who you are. It's not your body. Your body is not who you are. Your soul is who you are, you could take Jack Kenna's soul and put it in a different person. That, they're a different body, right? That would still be Jack Kenna.
Well, isn't that part of the premise of the reincarnation?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's where that comes from. You're reborn, So you're the same individual, hopefully growing as you are reincarnated, getting
Well,
a
I
little bit
hope you
better
grow,
each
because
time.
I would hate to come back, do it all over again, make the same mistakes, and have
Sometimes
to
we do.
renege on my soul contract.
Well, sometimes that's what growth is about. Sometimes it takes more than one time to get it right,
True that.
It's like, oh, you actually went back a little bit that last time. We gotta go back again. You're gonna do it again. Oh no, just do a little bit better this time.
Exactly. Well, we've got to take our last break. So, if you're out there listening, this is the time to get them in there. I am looking at our Spreaker chat, and I'm looking at our WBHM chat, WBHM-DB.com. So pop them in there, and we'll be right back after this with Jack Kenna for our final segment. Y'all come back.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio, and I am so glad you're here because my guest tonight has been fantastic. And it's always nice when you get to interview a friend. Just makes it even more special. And, it's It's been a fun show. Jack Kenna, I am so glad that you have been here. I love getting a chance to talk to you.
Well, thank you, ma'am. I always love talking to you too, Kat. And it has been a great show, and it's been some great conversation tonight. And hopefully, your listeners and stuff got some good information out of it, maybe some good advice or whatever. Hopefully they took something good away from it. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think that they have done.
So,
I have to give a shout out to Denise Pridemore, who has been running both chats.
There you go. There you go.
She is fantastic. She has a great show on Monday nights in her own right, and she is just really fantastic. Her show is The Paranormal Pride, if you haven't heard it. And if you haven't heard it, why not? It's just like Fate Magazine. We've been in publication since 1948. And we've got a brand new edition about to come out. It's time.
Awesome.
So if you haven't already renewed that subscription, fatemag.net is where you go to do that. Grab it and growl. You don't want to miss the new one. Just like you don't want to miss any of Jack Kenna's books, because you even have a graphic novel. I mean, you have everything. You have a textbook, basically.
That's my kid's favorite, was a graphic novel. Yeah,
I'm sure it was. But you've got
the kids loved it. Yeah,
stories and experiences, and the graphic novel. So
I got that. And Hauntings, Ghosts, and Demons is the one book based on some of our team's investigations and a couple totally made up stories and stuff. And that's been doing very well on Amazon. People, that's selling pretty good. People seem to be enjoying that. It's getting good reviews, as is Paranormal Research, the newest book I have out.
Are you going to have Paranormal Research with you at Gettysburg?
Yes, I will. I'll have copies down there, yeah. I will,
because I was going to order mine, and I thought, I'm going to be seeing him soon. I should get a signed copy.
Yeah, we'll take them down. I'll have copies here. No problem.
Okay.
I'll have plenty when I come down. So that'll
I
be,
just want
I'll
an
have those
autograph.
with me, so that's doing well. If anybody wants to connect with me or find those online or wherever, I've got links. You can just go to my website, my personal website, which is jackkenna.org. So it's jackkenna.org, and you can go there, and there's links to everything. My Spirits New England pages, our team Spirits of New England, and to the Amazon for the books and everything. So connections everywhere. jackkenna.org. That's all you got to go to. And if somebody does want to reach out to me for a radio show or something like that, you can catch me on Facebook or, again, through my website. So you reach out to me there.
Well, because the shows, television and radio, are listed there, shown there. And I'm going to tell you that Leanne in chat says, currently reading Paranormal Research. Great book.
Yeah,
and I said, great to know.
That's right. I forgot they were reading that. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Because I knew they had it. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, it's been getting a lot of good feedback and stuff, too. So, and then The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Jack Kenna is, it's on there. I guess they were on summer recess right now, but you can listen to the archives there on Blog Talk Radio. So just look us up. The Outer Realm with Jack Kenna and Michelle DeRoche. We're there.
And that is great information.
We'll be back in September. Yeah, we'll be back in September on the new network. So, but for now, you can still listen to them there. The old shows, they're still out there. So, all good stuff. Lots of good stuff going on. So, a lot of good things happening.
Well, of course.
Of course. And the next
always the ton of
next
surprise.
event I got coming up will be this weekend. Yeah, I'll be up. I'll be having an Ocean State Paracon this weekend out in Harrisville, Rhode Island. That's my next event coming up. And
that's a great Paracon.
Yeah, it is. It is a great one. And it's always for a good cause. It's a fundraiser, and all the money that's raised through that goes directly to the fund that they pick a different one every year of who to help out and stuff like that. So a lot of community stuff and stuff like that. So all the money goes to the charity. So that's a nice thing that Ken DeCosta and his team does. And then I'll be at MedCon 2 the following weekend out in Ohio. So busy month coming up. Busy months coming up. Yeah, a lot going on. So.
Well, at least you have a calendar and you can tell what all of that is. I have left my calendar at home. Tragic.
I keep mine on my phone now.
Most of mine
I know
is.
what I've got planned.
Most of mine is.
Otherwise, I'm lost. Yeah. Mine is right on I use my Google Calendar, and it's right there on my phone. So
yeah,
I know everything that's coming up. But yeah, anybody wants to check out all that, that is all on my website too. Just if you want to see any events coming up, go to jackkenna.org or spiritsofnewengland.org, and all of our upcoming events are on both those websites. So like I said, just a lot going on. So.
You are always slamming and jamming.
Try to. Sometimes too much. That's why I said we're refocusing for next year and refocusing a few things. And sometimes you get in this field and you get too involved with some media stuff, and you got to step back and go, why did I get into this field? What am I doing? What's it all about? And you go, for me, it's always been about helping people. For me, it's always been about helping people. So I am doing some changes, and I'm going to be refocusing back to that. Not disappearing by any means, no, but just going to put primary focus back where my heart truly is in this field. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
I love that.
Well, you got to pick and choose what you got into it for, right? What
do.
Are you really doing it for? Everybody has
and
their own
what the
thing.
priorities.
There's nothing wrong. Yeah, everybody has their own priorities and their own agendas, and that's fine. That's all good, And if one of your things is wanting to, be really on TV and have your own show, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I never put people down for that. That's just not totally what mine is, and I had to realize that. And I had to come to that realization that where my real focus is. Not that I'm not going to be on shows anymore. Don't get me wrong. I'll still be out there. When I get called, I'll still go. Because I love doing it. It's fun to do, and we have a good time with it. And it does help me spread some word a little bit and get some information out. So I like it.
Spread some truth.
And it does help people to reach out to me, too. So
yeah,
it's for me, that's a great thing. So don't worry, people. I'm not going to be disappeared. But, but I am refocusing and resetting some priorities, that's all.
Well, that's a really good thing. Because it's so easy, especially, I know you didn't actually seek out the notoriety that you have.
No, I didn't.
And so sometimes that helps keep you balanced. It keeps your focus centered, as it were.
I agree.
I have worked with people who all they wanted was a show. And this was years ago. It was very uncomfortable because, even if I was using my own equipment to get evidence, they actually tried to take my memory cards.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
wow.
This is not your evidence. This is our evidence as a team.
That's right.
And you didn't buy my memory cards.
That's right.
And fortunately, my camcorders were all, had their own memory.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But,
I know
people that get single focused, no matter on what,
right?
They lose themselves, and
you can.
Sometimes it's a struggle to find your way back.
Yeah, it can be because you feel like sometimes you feel like you get obligated to different things, and you have to, and you don't have a choice. But you do.
There's always a choice.
Sometimes it's a tough choice, and it's a hard thing. And it's not always, as my parents always said, the right thing to do is not always an easy thing to do.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah, and
Wise
that is true. That is the truth. It's a tougher. Doing the right thing is sometimes a tougher choice. But it is sometimes the right thing to do, and sometimes the right thing is what's right for you. You know, you got to make the choice of what's right for you. You know, and in doing that, sometimes you hurt other people, but not purposely, by any means. You know, but it does happen, and we regret that. You know, we feel bad about that, but we hope our friends understand where we're coming from and can accept our decisions for what we have to make for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's the best we can hope for, you know. Because we don't make, you know, we have to sometimes make tough decisions, and we don't do it to hurt anybody. We just have to make the right choices for ourselves, you know, sometimes. And
well, you know, there's a fine balance between to thy own self be true and do no harm.
Yes,
and
yes, yeah. And harm is not necessarily physically hurting somebody, but it's disappointing someone. You disappoint someone, you know, and that's a hard thing to do, too. And I think
sometimes that bothers me more than, you know, physical stuff.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You know, you have to meet your obligations.
You do.
But you have to be true to yourself, too.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And that's what it comes down to. You know?
Yeah.
And that's true for all of us. That is true for all of us.
Oh, sure. Every individual. And it's just as hard for every individual. I mean,
it is.
Situationally.
Especially those of us who really feel for our friends. You know, we don't want to let our friends down, and we feel terrible about things. And that's true of a lot of us. You know, but we just sometimes you got to make that choice, and we got to make that decision. And you know, I think the older you get, the more you realize, like, you know, how much time do I really have left? You know, I got to do the right sort of thing for me and for what I really want to do, you know, what I really feel I should be doing, right?
Right.
And that doesn't always jive with what somebody else would like to be doing with you, you know. It's just the way it is, you know. It's not being mean or trying to be mean or terrible or anything like that. It's just the way life goes sometimes. That's all.
Well, I don't think you have a mean or terrible bone in your body, my friend.
Well, somewhere I probably do.
I think it's well hidden. Buried
deep. I have my
deep.
moments, trust me. I'm like everybody else. I have my moments.
Oh, don't we all, though?
Oh, God, yes, we do. Yes, we
Sometimes
do.
I'm just stunned, and that's okay.
Yeah.
By my own moments, not other people's.
Yeah, a lot of the times it comes out with stress, right? It comes out when we're stressed, you know. Yeah, and we don't mean for it to, but it does. And that's just because of the stress we're under, you know. Too many things going on all at the same time. So. But do you have any other questions? Anything? Any last minute driving questions you have for me, my friend?
Actually, I'm pretty good because I've asked everything that came across my my news feed, and I have my messaging and in the chat, and I have just enjoyed this so much that there's just not enough words. Right? This has been fantastic. Thank you.
It has. It's been a great time once again, and I appreciate you having me on the show, and it's an honor, as always. Yeah, it's an honor.
Thank you. And that being said, I will be back on Wednesday night with Ronnie D. of Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, so be sure you tune in for Paranormal Experienced Radio with Kat Hobson for that. And we'll see you next time. Same cat time, same cat channel. Good night, y'all.
You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting. The best in paranormal talk radio.